All right, go ahead.
All right, so for Donnie's video, he sent it to us, so hold on.
To do with define ethics. To me, at the end of the day, it's just how you act. The definition is the standard of moral conduct. So simply put, how you act. How ethics shape leadership. I mean, followers want to know the truth, good or bad. They want to be involved. And building trust is probably the most important part of leadership. But if you don't have good ethical practices, you're not going to get that trust and you're not going to have followers. How ethical behavior is reflected in public leadership. I'll use Trump as an example here. He often contradicts himself, which limits the trust that he gets from the public. Therefore, it's really hard for him to maintain a solid following because nobody trusts him as a leader. And as I said before, trust is the most important part of leadership. So if you can't get people to believe you, you're not going to have any followers.
Yeah.
So have a good day.
All right.
Okay, so I actually used Trump as an example too in one of our discussions this week. Even though I am a Trump supporter, I think he's showed a lot of like really bad ethical behavior. A lot of people have that are like in politics. That's why it's so hard with like public leadership. But I'll get to that in a minute. So ethics, I think, is basically like morals and values that guide like someone's behavior, and they also help them make decisions on what is right and wrong. Ethics shape leadership because those values that make a person need to translate to the followers of a leader. A leader can only be effective if they have values and morals which people like admire and want to follow. And then back to public leadership, ethical behavior. I think public leadership focuses mainly on influencing people about certain topics. So like politics is one, and then the book also mentioned health and finances. So the leader's behavior is important because those are super important topics of discussion. Their actions will impact the public opinion, and it's also really important for leaders in public leadership to build symmetrical relationships which encourage ethical behavior. So what examples did you guys use for the discussion this week? Like, who did you guys use?
I personally looked at unethical leadership, and I thought Adolf Hitler, from what the book said, was a really good example. So, like, I just, you look at him and he was like a leader of Germany, but then also like his actions of like being unethical, like proved that like he was a terrible leader. So I put that doing what is right helps you gain the trust of your followers and shows great leadership. So just being ethically a good person, just know right from wrong. That's the main thing, don't be selfish. So.
My turn?
Yeah, I guess.
Cool. Well, I mean, just going off of that, yeah, I feel like you have to have like selflessness. You can't be thinking about yourself. That's like a big part of ethics. But I feel like ethics are a huge part to leadership. I feel like they establish boundaries and kind of principles between peoples and between people and their relationships. One of the main things that I like in the book is it talks about utilitarianism. I kind of like to think that I think similar to that. It's pretty much like weighing the good with the bad and trying to come up with a decision that is best for the greatest amount of people. Just, finding which one has the most positives and the least amount of negatives. But I think it's big when it comes to just making decisions in organizations, just because it affects your relationships with one another. No, yeah, that was all I really wrote down for that one.
My turn? Okay. So kind of going off of that, just when you have, an ethical or, unethical leader, it affects your followers. And if you have an unethical leader, it kind of trickles down the chain, and your followers start to do things that are also considered unethical, or they feel like they have to do them, because they're you're in that leadership role. You have so much influence over your followers that if you don't take the right steps to be an ethical leader, or that moral, like the moral judgment or the moral motivation, you have to create that ethically rewarding environment. And if you don't create that, your followers will just continue to, make unethical decisions themselves, or continue to do things that are, influencing others, in unethical means. And you kind of see that a lot nowadays. And it's pretty bad that when you have, an unethical leader in a big organization, it trickles down the chain, and, your employees start doing things that are unethical, and it just starts a big mess. And, if you're not an ethical leader, you just, it creates like a media thing. Like I did my thing on Wells Fargo and all that's going on right now because of their CEO, and, it just kind of trickles, down to the next leader, and so on and so forth. So it makes a big difference, between an ethical leader and an unethical leader when it comes to the followers.
Yeah, bouncing off that, Daniel, I just thought of, because what you said kind of reminded me, you said like how the leaders and the followers, like it's very much the same, whether they're ethical or not, how it creates this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but it makes me think of this comic bit by George Carlin. And he talks about how everyone says like politicians are really bad. Everyone hates how politicians, like they're not ethical, and that's what they're known for. And he talks about how, well, where do these politicians come from? They don't come from like another planet. Like they come from American schools, American churches, American societies. Like we put these people there, and it's not like they suddenly become unethical. So I just think that's a really interesting point with the cycle that you kind of mentioned. To define ethics, I basically said what you guys all said, but I also put like doing the right thing, especially when you're alone, because I think it's much easier to be an ethical person when you're around others, when you're around your friends, your parents, your coworkers. But what do you do when you're by yourself and you're faced with those decisions, those ethical dilemmas? I think that's what makes an ethical person, is how ethical they are behind closed doors, and how it's reflected in leadership. Very much what you said, Daniel. It's very much the leader and the followers have an instinct with the ethical behaviors they have. I remember taking an ethical class, and they interviewed like grade school students when the whole Clinton thing was going on, and they were basically like, how can we expect to be honest when our leader isn't honest? So I think it's very much the followers, the citizens, whoever you're talking about, they will follow the ethical standard of the leader oftentimes.
So, after reading all this, I just like look at the unethical parts of like a leader. So basically it said lying, trying to be selfish, and it's something you see more often, especially like, when they try to look good. So they like lie their way through to, to get where they're at. And I just think that's completely wrong. And, they just try to, utilize things for their benefit. So, what makes anybody a leader is helps you gain the trust of your followers, shows you great leadership, and, they're truthful about everything. So, like you said, Caleb, trying to be ethical even when they're not surrounded by people, like definitely shows a lot. I really think that at Starbucks, I see a lot of ethical leaders because Starbucks has this whole thing about ethics. They have a whole webpage about ethics, saying that we are an ethical company. And it's true because we try to do everything right. We try to do everything right for the customer. We try to do everything right for our baristas and everybody that comes into our company. So it is important that we try to keep up that standard. I've written a lot of things about ethics in Starbucks, and I truly see the ethical things that we do for others within our company. So
Just asking, did anyone see the video of the unicorn frappuccino barista?
Yes. I'm not gonna. I don't know. A raise of hands. I did not like that frappuccino. I literally came out purple. It was too much. A lot of people were like, well, like, it's been out for like months. People have been talking about it for months. And I'm like, they gave us this information like a week ago and we weren't prepared for like how crazy it was going to be in regards of that frappuccino. It was ridiculous.
Like, going back to Starbucks being like an ethical company, that like they gave that guy like a review. And I mean, I don't know if that's true, but if it is, then like they definitely care about their employees as well as like their customers. So I thought that was kind of cool.
What did you guys think? Other Starbucks employees in this video?
I just thought it was crazy because we ran out of the stuff to make it at like 2 o'clock on the first day. So after then, sorry, we don't have it. Sorry, we don't have it. Like half our drive-through was just like, okay, we're gonna try another store. Good luck. You know, all 3 of these cities around us are all freaking.
Wow.
It was like a happy hour, unexpected, especially like people ordering it at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was just like, what the heck? I know some.
Going the venti unicorn frappuccino with 80 grams of sugar.
Yeah, heck yeah, so much sugar.
But
That's all it tasted like.
it was a difficult situation that that we had to face, but I at least got through it, and I was in the same boat where like by day 2 at 11 a.m. it was gone. No more unicorn frappuccinos.
I feel like, you think they're gonna bring it back? I feel like they're gonna bring it back or something. I don't know. They made way too much money on it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna add more onto it. Like they're probably gonna do another like surprise frappuccino that's not have to do with unicorns. Maybe they're gonna do like a troll.
Another 4 colors they gotta put on top.
Has everybody gone?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are we still broadcasting?
Yeah, we're done. If you guys want to add anything else.
I'm good.
Alright.